Hi, welcome to another episode of the Hot Ball with me, Eamon, courtesy of AIG and Dublin GEA. On this episode, we're going to be talking to my former club teammate, Mikey Carton, who also had a 12-year career with the Dublin Hurlers. We're going to look back at his time being an underage star, how he was coming into the setup, and then how he had such a successful career with Dublin over such a long time span as well. Plus a few more bits as well. So hope you enjoy it. Hi Mick, welcome to the Hot Ball with AIG and Dublin GAA. Great to see you. Firstly and foremost, how are you keeping? I know you were hit with the coronavirus there, but you look well. Hair cut aside now, but you seem to be doing well there.
Yeah, great, Eamon. Good to see you as well, buddy. Yeah, I feel good. It's great to be out, back working and back to some form of normality. Yeah, recovered well. I didn't know when I left the hospital, they weren't sure if I might have some like scarring in my lungs, or I don't feel anything. And I went back training for the last week or two, but I think I was a bit gassed. But I think that's just my own fitness levels at the moment. So I'll find out in a few more weeks.
What people might not know is that me and you played midfield all the way through underage. But that was always the case, that your fitness was crap and mine was unbelievable. I was the box to box, you were the ball winner. So.
Yeah, and none of us could shoot.
So you're doing well anyway.
They were great memories. We had a great football team at Hills, like a really good football team there. And I loved playing with it. And look, you had some hands, you used to catch it, hand it off, and I'd used it.
Know your strengths, mate.
Exactly. We had a great partnership for a long time, and we actually won a few things, which was great with Hills. So, like that minor league football for me was one of my fondest memories, you know. So, I actually won the senior hurling championship and didn't drink or anything because I wanted to win that week. So,
I remember that really vividly. That the crack in the club and trying to step away from that. When it was the first time, God knows how long, when they won it, and then the atmosphere, the hype, the hysteria, but then to actually the next day to go out and win the minor was just unbelievable, and to have all the support there, like that's a memory that kind of lasts forever. Yeah. And Jer O'Mara sent me it was like remember we used to, O'Toole's had the player profiles thing that when they went in the newsletter, it's just like a bio of myself and Jer, and I had on it like ambition to win a club and county All Ireland. So I was lucky enough to do it. Just wasn't in an O'Toole's jersey is the only thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, that's great. You check goals for yourself and you achieved them, you know. So it's brilliant, you know. That great memories like that around the club that time. There was such a good buzz. I just didn't realise that'd be my only senior hurling championship medal. Like, I was sure I'm going to win loads of them here. So, 4 seasons, that was it.
You played from such a young age on like both inter-county and club on the senior teams, but like even like all the teams you've played for. Like when I was looking back on Declan's, for instance, you went to school with firstly like it was Berno Nolly who's still playing for the Dublin Hurlers, Lally. Wiggy, there's loads of people that ended up playing inter-county for Dublin in both codes. You were just in that time. What was it like playing with all these people? Because there's about 6 different clubs feeding into Declan's at that time.
Yeah, look, Declan's is steeped in sports people, you know, that have went on to achieve great things, and very lucky with the lads I grew up with. Like in Bridget's, we won a few things in primary school in Crow Park, and then so many of that team carried on to Declan's, and then we had huge success in Declan's. Like we won hurling and football titles all through my career there, but we were just blessed to who we had, you know. And you see, like Berno hurled us back then, and you know, and hurling and football, we were so successful, and he wouldn't have been anyway the footballer I would have imagined in school. He just, within 2 years of leaving, he just blew up, you know. But to see how lads progressed throughout school and then leaving was brilliant. You know, I was very lucky to have that talent going through, because other years you mightn't have it, you know. So
But
But
what was
always,
it like?
as long as I've been there, there's always been loads of Dublin players who have been to Declan's, you know.
What was it like? Like, so, you know, like I mentioned, like Laddie was playing for Bridget's at the time, Berna was Plunkett's, Nolly's Bridget's, Wiggy was Finbars, you had Peregrine's, Euro Tools. I'm sure there's a few more clubs in there as well. But like, what was it like going into school on a Monday? Like, was it just pure banter, like slagging one another about who won, who lost, who's in Division 1, who's in Division 2?
Absolutely, yeah. There was like you're meeting, like you're training with these lads all week in school, and then there was it created a huge rivalry then between them clubs when you're playing with them, you know, just for bragging rights in school. In school the next day.
Yeah.
I remember being doing my juniors here, and I was playing minor football for O'Toole's and playing against the likes of Lally and all, and there was absolute carnage in Bridget's. 2 teams in murder, and I just remember all the O'Toole's lads saying, "Do you want us to ride to Declan's tomorrow? Will anyone say anything to you?" I said, "No, you're grand."
It's a good
Well,
thing
be
about
all right.
Tools.
They're sound lads, even if they're all there.
Yeah, like, but like
That's what I loved about O'Toole's, Eamon. You know, they all looked after you, no matter. That's why it's such a great club. They look after each other and look after. All through my career now, like everyone looks after each other on the pitch and off it. So it's one of my fondest memories.
But like, even at that, there was still a few O'Toole's players that would have went to that school, and like as you said, like everyone played both codes. But it was also Declan's were really successful in soccer as well. I know you were a big soccer player underage. I actually played against you when you were with Verona and I was with Airfield, and I still get slagged by some of the lads about we scored an overhead on goal, which is, I don't know how you do that, but anyway, I did it. But you were kind of good at everything. You were one of them little assholes that everything you put your hand to, you seem to be good at. Where here's me scoring overhead on goals, like, you know.
Well, it's more just I love sports. Like I didn't leave my house growing up without a hurl or football, and anything that I could play, I played. You know, if there was rugby in Declan's, I probably would have tried my hand on it. Don't know if it would have been any good, but I love playing sport. And the thing of this burning out, like I played so much at every level growing up, and it didn't. I loved it. I would have played more if there was more, to be honest. But I'm probably glad there wasn't, because I feel it now in the last year or two, injury-wise, and the body's a bit sore and stiff. But I still wouldn't have any regrets of playing it, because it's what I love doing. And like back then, I remember my dad saying, "Just play as much as you can." You know, like if you're enjoying it, play it. You know, I was never under any pressure to play any game. So,
Mick, I don't
I was lucky
actually
with
know.
injuries throughout my career.
But I don't know if you could have played anymore, because like underage, I remember you just say in around the minor time. So we would have played minor with the club, about football hurling. Then you would have played 21s football hurling, senior with the club football hurling, senior with Dublin, 21s with Dublin hurlers, Dublin colleges hurling, school. And soccer, you played everything. Like, I don't actually think you could have played for another team. There wasn't enough hours in the day for you.
It might have shown in my leaving cert results a little bit. No, look, I loved. I remember playing in Croke Park against Offaly in Championship, and I had to go to school the next morning, you know, to do my leaving cert, and I had a physics exam. But physics wasn't very high on my agenda. So I think I left Club M a bit late that night. No, look, I just, they were great times, and I look back and they were all the black players I played against. I'm still great friends with so many of them, you know. And it helped being successful as well, because I was lucky enough to win a lot of things throughout my school career. So I had that mentality then that I wanted to win more. And with Dublin, it was a bit hard then, because we weren't, you know, it was a little frustrating. It was very frustrating, to be honest. But we stuck at it.
But did you ever feel like burnout, Mick? Did you ever, playing with all them teams, and like you were always earmarked for success I remember like 15, 16 senior hurlers were looking for you, Dublin, you were looking for you. Did you ever feel pressures, or did you ever feel like you were burnt out, or did you just, as you've kind of pointed out, just enjoy going out and playing?
No, I loved it, Amo. Absolutely loved it. And if I did feel pressure, like I have a strong enough personality that if I felt pressure, I'd stop. I really would. Like, unless I didn't play for Dublin because of it's a Dublin thing, and people, I loved playing for Dublin. I loved it, and when I didn't enjoy it, I stopped playing. You know, and about 24, 25, I started. I remember getting a little bit tired, and I was playing senior football, and I called it a day because with the club, because I just when you had that weekend off. That just that time alone, and there was a football match, I started to dread it, and then I said no. Like I loved it up until then, but that was a time when I said to myself, I can't keep this up because I'm going to start picking up a few injuries, and I wasn't enjoying it. So I cut football out with the club, which wasn't easy because you sort of feel like you're leaving them hanging a small bit because you know O'Toole's. We have to play both codes to have a team really and try and be successful. So that was a tough decision to make, but it was one I made, and I think it stood for me then throughout my later career where I could play on a bit longer, injury free anyway.
Like you had a long career with Dublin as well. I don't know, it was 13 years in a Dublin jersey, which is phenomenal when you think about it. And as you kind of said, you were lucky enough not to pick up loads of injuries when, like I talked to Ger O'Mara, like Ger was an unbelievable talent underage. Again, played Dublin senior football, Dublin senior hurling, under 21s with Dublin, won the Leinster with Dublin minors, and then just like body broke down and kept breaking down and kept crashing. And like I've seen that with a lot of players as well. Like I've seen that coaching when I was working in Finbars. You know, you get all these players, they're just fantastic talents underage, and then demands come on top of them, pressures come on top of them. And all builds up till that crescendo where it all just comes crashing down. But like you were kind of smart in a way, and I don't mean this as a slag, so please don't take it. But you were used to mind yourself a bit more in training. Like you didn't need to bust a gut in every training session because you were playing so many matches. Your fitness was there, and you obviously had natural ability. Like, did you see that as just, was that something that just you were like back then thinking ahead of yourself and saying, okay, I don't need to be making these stupid runs in a training session. I just hold back a bit. Was that your thought process, or were you just like a lazy trainer?
Lazy trainer. No, I'll be perfectly honest, saying we're like I hated ice baths, never did them. Refused to do them at Dublin. Honestly, like all that sort of stuff where I seen people looking for longevity. I loved training matches. Like I didn't like doing crazy runs. I never liked it. I thought to myself, if I'm fit enough come the weekend and no one's burning me in training, I'm not going to be like doing extra stuff on my day. And I just didn't. Like I mean, perfectly honest, like I loved hurling. I loved that aspect of it. I didn't love training. I remember my first, I never lifted a weight with tools. And it was a wake-up call when I went to Dublin because my first senior year in the gym, and I'm under a bench press. I've never bench pressed before in my life. And I hadn't put the rings on either side. Of course, I lifted up, they fall off one side, they fall off the other, and I'm left there at the bar. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm only new on this team. This is so embarrassing. But like weights-wise and all, like I did a bit in the gym, but for me, it was more being out on the pitch and enjoying it. But it's worked because I was able to have a long career with Dublin, and I'm not in too bad a shape, like leg-wise and cramp-wise now, like so. A lot of bit of weight, but soreness and all, no. So like I don't know, it's worked for me. You know, I know people are fanatical about it, and if it works for you, it does. But for me, I just loved out hurling. I didn't really like the parts where you have to go running on your own and doing all that. I probably kept it to the minimum requirements.
Yeah, well, like I think I'm on the other side of the coin there and that, because when I got called onto the Dublin team, I was very similar. I never lifted a weight. And then I walk into a gym with Kieran Whelan, Darren Holman, John McGee, and just like, oh my God, that's the level I have to get to in terms of size and strength. And I probably did too much too soon without any base, without any real work done in terms of technique. And I put a lot of that down to just me having a prawn cracker body now. I'm just constantly breaking down with injuries. And it was funny, I listened to the Peter Crouch podcast, and he says that as well. Like he was like, I didn't need to be in the gym. Like, I knew if I was playing football and if I was doing it well and I wasn't getting injured, I didn't need to do anything that would like upset that routine, like, you know, so we just pared back from it. But in this day and age, I think we come, and I'm guilty of it, we come obsessed with strength and conditioning, and just like, I could send a message now in a WhatsApp group to the lads in the club and say, does anyone want to go to the gym when restrictions lift? And I'd get about 10 people saying, yeah, come on, we go. If I said, you want to get a bag of balls and kick it around, you might get 3 or 4. Like, you know, it's just weird how that shift has happened. Yeah, like I kind of, like when you were coming into the panel then, I was looking at it, you were kind of lucky in some ways though, because there was about, I think there was about 10 people from O'Toole's on the Dublin senior panel at that time. So it must have been easy to move into it. Like, you know, it wasn't, you're going into a big setup where you don't know the lads. You must have felt at ease going straight into it.
Yeah, it was a real big north side majority as well. Like, so we knew all the Kieran's lads, and so like between O'Toole's, Kieran's, Vincent's, like, took up most of the panel at that stage, you know. And of course you're dragged, come on, back of the bus or somewhere. And no, but at the other side, like now it's panels are so young, like there's young lads coming through. At that stage, the year ahead of me was quite strong. It was really good hurlers, and I think myself and Ronan Fallon were the only two to make it then from my minor team up for a while. So we had about 8 young lads, but then it was stacked like to late 20s. You know, it was quite an old team. So it was different in that sense, you know, but I was quite lucky. The lads, that was actually, that first year I played, it was a great team. It was a great hurling team. We won the Walsh Cup that year. And there was great camaraderie and banter there, you know, but as I said, it was, I suppose, a lot of lads in their late 20s, and a lot of them left quite soon after, you know, they weren't there for much longer.
I actually remember that Walsh Cup game. I think it was one of Keeney's best ever games I've seen him play, and just that day, it was one of them games where you kind of like, there were so many people. The atmosphere was amazing for a Walsh Cup game. You'd never get that again, like, you know.
No, and plus that was sunk like any team, like 13 that starting team that they won the All Ireland the year before, you know, and like DJ Carey and Charlie Carter, like it was a serious team, and in Parnell Park, and the place was packed. And I remember so well clearly because I came on with 25 minutes to go, and I wouldn't normally get too nervous, but I was really nervous coming on that day, you know, because you're coming on, we're winning, and I was there, you better add something to this when you come onto the pitch, you know. And thank God I got on a few balls and did well, but that was great. That was great just to get that bit of silverware, and I thought we would have pushed on from there, but it took a lot longer than I thought. What
was the reason why it took so long? Because I know, looking back in any setup back then, you know, things have come on so much, but you know, there was some really good players in that Dublin team, and some great underage players coming through. So you had the mix of young and old, experience and just energy. What was the reason why it just didn't push on that extra bit?
I think it was belief, Eamon. Like, I think a lot of Dublin's downfall has been down to belief, you know, and it's sort of like the Mayo thing where they get so far and not any further. I think if Dublin managed to win All Ireland, I think they could push on and win loads, you know, and it's something that was always said about Mayo, like in the football. Because we had great teams, and then it was also managers. Like, I had 5 different managers in my career. You just hadn't got that consistency, you know, where a manager's going to bring you so far. Like, so for the first 6 years, there were 3 different managers in, you know, and things changed too much in the panel and the setup, and there was no real instruction there to carry on. So everything changed every time a new manager came in, and players were in and out all the time until you got that successful underage team to their mid-20s, and then things started to take a bit of a turn, and that belief started to be there because lads are winning stuff underage. I think the development squads were huge for Dublin hurling, and they worked because you can see where it's after coming, you know. Hopefully it keeps improving.
But on that team as well, there was a lot of players. There was a lot of players who were so good at both codes, and I mean that, like, from club, county, and so the demands, and like when you see as a player, when you see the likes of Keeney, Dotsy, you know, kind of 1 foot in the door with the hurlers and 1 foot in the door with the footballers. Did that ever unsettle things, like, you know, to know that you haven't got the best of the players because they're in between both codes? Or was that ever talked about, or did you even care?
Yeah, I think the media pushed that more than players would. Like, you know, in the dressing room, we were like, we have what we have, and sort of, if they don't want to be here, well, then we don't want them there, you know. And I think the media will always say, what would Kieran Kilkenny be like if Dublin joined? But hurling's so different. I think you have to be hurling consistently well with your club, and you can't just switch it on. Like Dermot Connolly and Kieran are great hurlers. But you can see when they go back to club that they struggle a little bit to get back up to that pace because standards always rising. So no, as a team, we never sort of said, oh, we haven't got Dotsy or we haven't got Connell. And that's an excuse to not be hurling, because we still should have been hurling and beating teams more than we were, you know. So it was definitely belief, because we had decent teams back then to be winning games, and then we were getting hammered every time we met Kilkenny, and we shouldn't have been. Like, they shouldn't have been that deficit there, because we weren't that far behind. But I remember being beaten by 25 points by them one day, and it was just sick, and it was just a norm back then, you know, like, oh, it's Kilkenny, it's not fucking good enough, you know.
Yeah.
Because I was beating them underage, you know, so is there not this, like, we can beat them. Now, it was probably the best Kilkenny team that ever lived all through my career. Had to play them. We had days where we were close, and I was lucky enough to beat them as well. So,
but like, how did that happen in 2011? Like, what did Dalo bring? Did he just bring that belief, or did he change everything?
Well, 2011 was a tough one for me, because 2010 I had quite a few injuries for the first time ever in my career, and at the end of 2010 I wasn't enjoying it, wasn't enjoying training. I actually had come back that year and put on a bit of weight. I remember that for the first time ever. Now, I wouldn't care about my diet, and I came back after pre-season, and one of the selectors said, "Jesus, you had a good winter." I was thinking to myself, oh, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And he was probably right, because I picked up injuries and I never had before, and I didn't enjoy the year. And at the end of that year, I rang Davey and said, I don't want to, I'm not coming out for 2011. And we had a chat about it, and he said, look, okay. And then they went on and won the league, and I wasn't there, you know. I was in Crow Park supporting them, and, you know, it was one of them. I was roaring my head off in the stand, and when the whistle went, I went, oh, what did I do?
I should have enjoyed myself so much in the winter.
Exactly, you know, and that's just, like, I always had a great metabolism, and I never looked after what I ate, and I was always a whippet. So you knew, you played with me all. And it's just at that 25, around that age, obviously my metabolism started slowing down, and I shouldn't have kept eating what I was, and it was a shock to the system. But in the same time, with that club that year, I hurled brilliantly with championship, and I got myself injury free. I hadn't picked up an injury all year. The previous year, I did my hamstring 4 times, and I never probably dealt with it properly, because I never had a hamstring injury. I never had really injuries before, and I was probably going back too early, and I kept pulling it on both legs. So the next year, I did loads of work myself, got my body right, and had a great year and great championship. And Dalo we were playing Jude's in St. Anne's, and I think I had a good game. I scored about 6-7 points in play, and he rang me that night to come back for a championship in 2011, and I didn't hesitate. I just said, "Yeah, I'm there." So I arrived at training then that week, and I got a bit of stick off all the lads, because I would have known them all really well. And but I never looked back. Then. I played the championship that year, and we were beaten in the semi-final of the All Ireland. But it was a great year. It was a great year, and I think it was the right decision for me, because I got myself right. And as I said, if I wasn't enjoying it, I didn't want to be there. I really didn't, because training-wise, you know, it's relentless. And if you're not enjoying it, you can't do it. For me, I couldn't do it anyway. So,
Patter might have a different answer when I ask him about Dalo, but like, you never really had injuries, and like, in some ways, I've had loads of them. I've had too many. I've had probably enough for me and you. But it's also given me a bit of discipline to know that when I do get an injury, that I know what I have to do to go through the process of getting it right. And was that something that really shocked you a bit? Like, you know, because I've talked to a good few players over the years about this. And when you start getting injuries, you're going from being around the team to being in the gym by yourself and having to do the rehab work by yourself, and not necessarily being involved in match days, not necessarily being involved around some of the bigger conversations that are happening. And it can be tough, and it can hit your morale and it can hit your confidence. And I've seen a lot of players that have just fallen by the wayside because of them pressures and because they try to over push it then to try and get the fitness levels. And again, I've been guilty of it. Was that something that really affected you mentally as well? Just getting that like roll of injuries just coming at the one time because you never really had them before?
Yeah, I didn't know how to deal with Amo, to be honest with you. I was frustrated and I kept coming back too early, and I was like, oh, this is, and it accumulated in me not coming back the following year, you know, at the start of the year, because it affected me that much. But I learned from it, and I said to myself, if I ever get through that again, I'm not going back. I'm going to look after myself and make sure I'm ready before I go back, and trust the physios. You know, like, and before I was probably too headstrong and saying, I'm ready, I'm going back, I'm not listening to anybody. And it didn't work for me, you know, and I learned from it. And it also helped me watching the lads play, because I said to myself, I never get too nervous. I love playing hurling, and the bigger the occasion, the better. Didn't really bother me who you'd mark or anything. But I think that year off helped me, because you're watching games and saying, if I ever get back there, I'm going to enjoy every minute of it, rather than let the nerves get the better of you, or worry about this and worry about what people think. And like, you're out there, you're doing your best. Everyone's doing their best, and you're going to have good days or bad days. I remember being in dressing rooms where lads are vomiting before games, and nerves really got to them. They'd go out and play well, but like, I can't imagine how you'd enjoy that, you know. So like, mentality, I straightened up, you know, because I said to myself, like, it's about enjoying yourself out here. You want to win at all costs, and you're sick if you lose, but I wouldn't let it get on top of me too much, to be honest with you. And that helped that year.
And did Dalo kind of make that easy? Because when I was around the team, like that was the year really when the partnership between the hurlers and footballs, I thought there was a bit more unity. It wasn't us and them. It was a bit more combined. And I think sponsorship deal and all that kind of stuff helped. But I remember the lads just like having the crack, like bouncing off daily, giving them loads of abuse. I remember Nody slagging him one day, and I was like, can you say that to him? And he goes, yes, sir. I think he says worse than me. So, but like, it looked like everyone was just loving life. They were loving the setup. They were just happy to be around one another. And it didn't seem like there was any pressures. Like, you know, from football point of view, you kind of feel like you're under the spotlight a bit. But I think Dalo just made everyone just feel at ease, like just with the atmosphere that he created. Was that something that fed into the players?
Yeah, he was brilliant, Damo. Like, Dalo's man management is second to none. You know, he makes you feel important. But he'll have his arm around you, he'll tell you you've had a great game, but at the same time, he'll go through you if you're not putting the work in, or you're not doing something right. You know, he has both sides to him. And like, I remember one league campaign, I hurled really well, and we were meeting in Portmarnock for a training session. He called me up and goes, "Are you putting 100% in?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, I don't know, I think there's more in you." And I was thinking to myself, we hurled great there in the league, and it was just a little kick up the arse that, like, I thought I was doing well, and he probably knew I was doing well, but it's just, what else can I get out of you, you know? And I was talking to the lads saying, "He's after saying that to me," and you know, like, it's just them little things, they get the best out of you, you know. And he had that way about him as well, of letting you know, like, just there's a bit more in you. And great motivator, you know. It was real. Get them into the gates of Parnell, lock the door, and one fucking team leaves, you know. And he was brilliant at that, you know.
I think he got the best out of the likes of Ryan O'Dwyer as well. As you said, like, his man management, he seemed to know what made players tick. And from talking to a few of the lads, like, you know, he would have to throw his arm around a few of them, but he could have a bit of crack with others. But then, like, you know, you have them strong personalities in the dressing rooms, the like of Nolly, the likes of Ryan O'Dwyer. But, like, he worked with them, he bounced off them and created a bit of crack with them, like, you know, where managers can kind of look at that and kind of say, "Oh no, they're too much of a character to have around. They won't take it seriously," and kind of can villainize them and demonize them players. But when you have that, I think it's a huge quality to have that where you can bring everyone.
Yeah, for me, he sees the strengths in people, Amo. So like them lads that you speak about there, they bring teams together because the crack. Like lads want them around because it makes training easier. It makes journeys easier. It makes training camps easier. When there's a bit of slagging going on, and he knew how important them lads were to a panel, and if they're not there, it's all very serious and mundane, and I don't know how much people would enjoy it all, and plus he loved the crack, and he had some characters on his Clare team. He was one of them characters, so he loved that side of things. But like I remember at the back of the bus one day, we used to have like soccer quizzes and a bit of crack just to make the trip less annoying. Like, I think we're going to Galway and we have a soccer quiz and someone roared Berbatov as an answer, and Dalo lost it, like, fucking Berbatov, shut your mouths back there. And we were all like a bit stunned on the back of the bus. too much crack, and at times you can have too much, and we didn't play well that day, and I suppose we learned a lesson just to have that bit more focus. Early on the bus is grand, but once we get anywhere close,
do your research on the soccer before the journey. But like Mick, from then, like from 2011, I think everyone was kind of gone. This is it, gonna kick on. Like really good year. And I kind of stopped and started, and 2013 was good, but like you talked about the development squads, all them players coming up underage, and you started to see more kids poking around, bringing hurls and slitters down to the club, down to the county games. Like it felt like that sleeping giant was being awoken and the tide was turning. And I really thought Dalo was the man to get it there. Like, what do you put that down to? I know it's hard to kind of pinpoint it to one thing. Was it still belief at now you're 10 years on?
Yeah, definitely. Like 2013 was unreal, and I don't see how we didn't actually hurl well in 2013. We got momentum from the games, but early on we played very poorly against Wexford. Should have been beaten the first day. Drew didn't play great the second day against them. Kilkenny we hurled well the first day, but again lacked the sort of belief to put them away. And the second day for the replay, I thought, this is it now. We bet them. That's the monkey off the back. Like we know we can beat them, and no one's beat them in a replay. That's even bigger.
Yeah.
And then to go on and do what we did against Galway in the Leinster final was unreal. And there was no one was reading ahead themselves. It was one game at a time. And Cork was a great hurling match. And look, it could have went either way. Really could have went either way. It was so close. And that happened. So you don't really. I said to myself, look, we push on, and we didn't. We had an awful year then, and we just don't know. Like, I don't know what happened. It's very hard to put your finger on it. And I think speaking to Anthony since it, like, he doesn't know either. Like, all the work was done, all the prep was done. No one. It's one of them things. It's definitely belief, and it's still affecting Dublin hurling because you can see it when you have the favourites tag. We really struggled all through my career. Like you might be able to get it up for hard games and their favourites, and we bet a few of them on, but we still struggled then holding that tag of favourites whenever we did. So for me, it's definitely a belief thing. You have to be putting them teams away and beating them well and convincingly over and over again to get that confidence. And Dublin haven't been doing that. So that's something Matty has to work on, and the current Dublin team still have to work on. Hopefully they'll get over the line at some stage.
Like you spoke about what you played for 5 managers. There's still that transition, and I know 2015 was a tough year for you, like having finished up the way you finished up. But like,
yeah,
with your career, do you have any regrets? Like, you kind of you missed out on some bits, but is there anything that you really go, I wish I had done things differently then?
No, I don't. Because I'm quite like confident in myself.
Really?
Yeah, decisions I made. Like it was a horrible way to leave Dublin. Really horrible way. Like I hated it. It took me a long time to not get over it, but long time to enjoy watching Dublin again and support them. You know the hurling family I'm from.
Yeah, absolutely.
There'd be 30 of my family going to every game, no matter where it was in Ireland, and they stopped going when I left. And it was really, really sad. I felt more for my family than I did for myself, because it sort of ruined the Dublin experience, you know. But it's one of them things I had to do at the time, and I suppose that's the only thing I'd ever look back at that say, would people say I have regret about, and I don't, you know. It's the last 2 years I've been going to loads of games with mum and dad, and I'm loving it again, and thank God. But it did take 2 or 3 years of I didn't go to many games. I stepped away from it completely. Didn't really watch games on telly, just because I loved playing with Dublin. I loved the dressing room more than anything. I loved the lads that played, but just left. I was just a horrible taste in my mouth of how it all went, you know. And would you have played another year or two? But that was my decision, and I didn't take it lightly at the time. I thought about it long and hard before leaving. It wasn't an impulse thing, you know. It's just I thought that was the best thing for Dublin hurling at the time, to be honest with you. And it might highlight some of the problems that went on. Unfortunately, they went on for another year or two after, and Dublin are still recovering. But the lads are there now. I think it's a really good team, and hopefully Matty Kenny can create something special there.
I think you touched on it throughout your whole career. When you say you're not enjoying it, you step away. Be that with senior football with O'Toole's, when you kind of had to start making decisions with injuries. You know, you're not enjoying it. So like, I don't think it was just a flash in the pan decision. It obviously sounds like it's something that you thought about. It's obviously something that you've done throughout your career. When you're not enjoying it, you have that mental strength to be able to go, look, I'm not giving my all here. I can step away from it.
Yeah.
But you know, I think I saw a beautiful tweet you posted about going to a game with your mum and dad. I think it might have been in Portlaoise, 2 hours before the game, with the Sambos and the hip flap. So it's good to see that they're back enjoying Nolan Park. Sorry, so it's good to see that they're back out enjoying it, because your family have got a huge history and heritage with GAA and hurling as well. So delighted to see that they're back out and you're bringing the kids, you're enjoying it yourself. Like,
yeah, like dad hurled with Dublin for 15 years, you know, and the friends he's made throughout his career, and he loves going to games. And I only see that now that I'm with him, because you can't get to the stand for about 2 hours for him talking to people. You know, how you've had our house things, how's everything going? And I'd be standing beside him going, oh my God, the amount of people, you know. And you also have a different perspective when you're in the stand. It's much harder because you get animated, and I can only imagine the days I had, bad days out there where people were beating me, and he had to listen to people slagging me in the crowd, you know. And it's tough, but he wouldn't have it any other way, you know. He wouldn't mind mixing it up in the crowd himself. So he loves it, and it does give it that perspective on things. And I love going to the games with him now, and that's going to be something we'll do together for a long, long time, supporting Dublin. So I'm really looking forward to that aspect, and then eventually bringing my kids when they're a bit older. So that's why Dublin's so important, and my family are all loving going to the games again. So I'm delighted that chapter is done and we can enjoy it again. You know, that's a big thing, you know.
No, it is a huge thing, and I know your family, and I know how much it means to them to still see, to go to the games and enjoy going to the games, and to have the next phase of it with your two coming through as well now. So, you know, I'm sure your dad will have a hurl in their hand if he hasn't already done it very quickly. And yeah, I suppose like even Patter as well. Like, you know, there's still playing. Like, you know, it's great to see that over the few years. Like, what was it, 15 years in the Dublin jersey?
Yeah.
You've seen so much, you've been through so much change, and you've adapted to every kind of setup and scenario that's been thrown at you, with new managers coming in with their say, and you've held the starting jersey for as long as you did. And, you know, when you look back in your career, after playing through so many different setups, for playing with so many different players, who was the best player that you played with over that time span? Tough one.
Geez, it's very tough. Like, that's when I look back, and players that put a smile on my face and said, like, I thought Brendan McLaughlin was one of my heroes growing up at the club, and I thought he was a genius of a goalkeeper and skill, and And when I won the Dublin Hurling Championship, he played outfield and Player of the Year, and he's a goalkeeper. You know, like that's how talented that man was. You know, and it was phenomenal. And I suppose the modern era would have been Conall Keaney. Like, we had a good relationship, myself and Conall. And it was more his influence in the dressing room, and he was so strong mentally and physically. You know, and when he was on the pitch, he always had that extra confidence that you were going to do well. He had that thing about him. So I'd have them two on the same part, to be honest with you, and being so important for Dublin Hurling, both players. So throughout my career, I'd have them two level pegging.
I think they're both different in many ways, by the way.
Oh, very different.
I think people don't understand just how strong Keaney is. Like, he's an absolute tank. He's an animal, and it's nearly like farmer strength. It's just natural. Like, you know, he's not really a big gym buff. You know, he does go to the gym, but he just has that natural strength that it can catch you off guard. I remember we were at a training session, and Aidan Downs was with Nafina at the time, and Keaney was marking Keaney, and Keaney just put his hand out, and Downs ran right into it and just bounced off, and ooh, that looked harsh. But yeah, I think Keaney was just a fantastic player, and as you said, Brendan, like
he still tackles like a footballer in hurling. You know, it's the big arm, because when we're playing matches and training, I'd mark Keaney, I don't know how many times, and we'd good crack, and he's quite similar to me, and he doesn't like doing running when he doesn't have it. Maybe that's why he's had such a long career himself. But like, we marked her so well, and he wouldn't be running across the pitch non-stop for needless faults. He'll do it when he has to, you know, and he performs when he has to. So, and for the biggest days, he has his biggest performances. So maybe there's something there, you know. I don't know, but I just know him so well because we marked her for so long in training and played against her in championship for so long. So, he's a huge influence on Dublin hurling, you know.
Absolutely, he has. Out of the current team, who's like your favourite player that you enjoy watching at the moment in the current setup?
Danny Sutcliffe for Dublin. The second I seen Danny hurl, I said to him that I said to myself, he's going to be a future All-Star. Like, and he has that devilment in him. He likes to mix it up. He likes to get in people's faces. He likes the talking on the pitch. He loves all of it, you know. And when I went back in 2011 for the championship, Danny came in with me actually, and we only played against each other for Judes and O'Toole's a few weeks prior to that in championship. And he came in, so I knew Danny from off the bat when he joined, and he had something special about him, you know. And he doesn't care who he's marking or how young he was. He just wanted to go out and get in people's faces and hurl well. And I knew he'd be a huge influence for Dublin, and I'm delighted to see he's been made captain there, because he just has that thing about him, the same as Conall. When he's on the pitch, he thinks something is going to happen, and he can drag a team behind him, you know. And so I think he'll go on maybe to win another one or two All-Stars and hopefully push Dublin onto an All-Ireland. But he's a huge talent, and I just love his attitude, you know. He doesn't give a crap who he's playing against. I remember Dalo said to me one day, I think we were coming up to an All-Ireland semi-final, quarter-final, and he said, look, don't be going mental out there, you know. You know, it was the week when I was marking Danny, and if you're marking Danny, there's not, like, I was dragging out of him, and we were hitting each other. I think we nearly had a row straight away off the bat, because it's just, that's the way he was. Everything was 100 miles an hour and in your face, and I wasn't going to let someone beat me. So that went out the window pretty sharpish, but yeah, I knew he was going to be good from the start, so definitely one to watch.
Yeah, as you said, like, the fact that he got captaincy at such a young age, I think speaks volumes of him as well. I've always enjoyed watching him, and he's a bit of crack as well, like, you know, and I like that about a bloke when you can have a bit of banter with him off the pitch as well as on it as well, and whatever happens on the pitch stays on the pitch, and he definitely has that devilment about him. Mikey, it's been strange catching up with you on Zoom, I won't lie, since we've grew up together. We spent so much time. I think I've played more matches with you in midfield than any other player ever. But was actually really enjoyable, because when I started looking back on your career and everything that you've done, the success that you've had underage, the way you've handled yourself throughout the whole different regimes within Dublin, the response from your managers. Like, I've spoken to different managers you've played with over the years, and the fact that you've held that position for so long, like, you know, and the history and heritage that you have in your family, you know, it's nice to look back and reminisce like this and talk about them points in more detail, because now you're a Mead man after moving to Dunboyne. I don't get to see you as much, and I'm thankful with haircuts like that. I don't get to see you right beside you. So, yeah, look,
Quite the greys.
yeah, I need to do something with mine now. That's the next stage. Look, I really enjoyed catching up, Mick. Thanks for taking us. Thanks for taking the call.
Great.
Yeah,
No, I really enjoyed it.